Booba 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 booba. That's the theme to Stranger Things, of course, that I am replicating using my mouth noises because Steven, yeah, you're here as always.
I am here. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Couldn't do this without Steven. He's my pitching partner. Because what we've got in store, I was watching Stranger Things, and something I realized, this show is ending soon. All these kids are fucking old. They can't do it anymore. They have outmoded the format.
They have lost all flexibility.
Exactly. Their joints are stiffening up rapidly, as is, the legs of this show. But what do we want? We're hungry for more Stranger Things as a nation. People can't get enough fucking Stranger Things. Have you observed this, Steven?
I eat Stranger Things for breakfast.
Absolutely. Stranger Things cereal, Stranger Things lunchbox, Stranger Things flamethrower. It's all there. Merchandising. I myself have the Stranger Things Lego.
You do? I bet you do.
I do in reality have the Stranger Things Lego.
Do you play with it when you're taking your bath?
Yeah, I'll put it over because the thing is, it's brilliant because it's the upside down, and how it achieves that. It's the regular Lego set on top, and then on the bottom, on the undercarriage of it, is the upside down, and it is kept aloft by two trees that act as pillars. So I could arc it over my bathtub and play with my little guys.
So the universe,
have my little guys.
The Stranger Things universe has two trees.
Yeah, the Stranger Things universe is mostly about what if there was a normal tree, but underneath it there was a spooky tree.
Okay, and it's trees.
It's all tree. Yeah, it's mostly tree based. It's a tree based mysticism in the show.
Remember, you get the tree level in Donkey Kong sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah. You get the tree. It's just like the tree level in Donkey Kong.
I love the tree level. It had some of the best music.
Yeah, absolutely. They were smoking those trees.
You would be inside of a tree, right?
Yeah.
And you're playing Donkey Kong, and the music is really good. And man, I tell you, the music was. I would lose that level on purpose just to replay it over.
Just to hear it. The music would make you feel like you're inside of a tree. And that's what Stranger Things is about. That's what, in order to get into the other universe, they go inside a magic tree. And, they're always talking about tree magic. And they're saying, we love trees all the time. And they're trying to get rid of all the trees, It's like a big thing, because, like, the bad guy in Stranger Things wants to get rid of all the trees. You know about that?
Is this Lego Stranger Things, or just... does it all share the same lore? Because I know
it all shares the same lore.
Because I know one of the interesting things about Game of Thrones is that the HBO version is a little bit different from the book. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering, and maybe the Lego version's a little bit different from, like, I'm sure if they want to do a Lego version of, say, a Clockwork Orange, they're going to take out some aspects.
Some of the ultra violence. They're going to turn it into Lego violence, which is, cute. Instead of killing a lady with a giant penis, Alex DeLarge kills a lady with a giant Lego brick instead. And instead of the trees, I get all the Stranger Things. They'd be talking about, the bricks. We need brick magic, And they're going the upside brick down. And, they're talking about bricks because everything is bricks,
And the upside down, instead of getting bricked up, do you get bricked down?
You get bricked down. Exactly. Exactly. Bricked up is funny because I made a comic about bricked up because it evolved separately. Because in black people and in hip hop, bricked up is used to mean an erection. But in the trans community, it's used to mean somebody that doesn't pass. Which is, a weird parallel behavior. It's also something that I shouldn't use.
No, you can use it because you're in the Lego community.
You're right. We're bricked up in the Lego. We're all bricked up in the Lego community. Absolutely. And, all these shows that we're going to pitch today, they will have corollary Lego tie-ins, which is the most important thing.
Yeah. Or as they say in America, corollary.
Corollary.
Right.
Corollary.
But in Canada, where you say pasta and you say other things such and such, it's corollary.
Corollary. So who doesn't throwback nostalgia horror shows? We love throwback nostalgia horror shows. That's what it's all about this episode. And so we're gonna give you some of our pitches. First off, we got the 90s throwback, okay? Everyone loves the 90s, right? You know, Forrest Gump, grunge, new metal, 90s hip hop, Wu-Tang Clan. You know, we're getting really deep into it.
A lot of good things happened in the 90s. America was discovered in the 90s, as I'm sure you know.
Yes, absolutely. That's when a 90s Christopher Columbus came with his Nickelodeon shorts, and he was like, "Well, man." And
that's when Christopher Columbus lined up all the Native Americans and made them salute his shorts.
They did do that. That was the horrible Salute Your Shorts massacre. We all remember that he killed them all after that because he was an evil man. But he was very zany and wacky while doing it. And the thing about the 90s is the only CRT they cared about in the 90s was cathode ray tube televisions because we had those then. And they made us feel nice because they were warm and fuzzy. They emitted a glow. You could run your fingers over them and feel the static. And movies looked softer. There wasn't in high definition, so everything looked sort of out of focus and blurry, and that it made things sort of a little more inaccessible. Seeing all these old 90s shows in high focus has made me realize that production value was kind of bad. So what we need to do is we need to get back to this time. We need to get back to this blurry time. And the show that we're pitching is called The End of History. And it's about a group of kids, all of whom are in wheelchairs, because that was a big thing in the 90s. You know how they had, like, the Burger King Kids Club or, like, the real Ghostbusters, and there was always a person who was in a wheelchair in order to demonstrate. Because there was a slight PC movement in the 90s, a slight movement of inclusion to get everyone in.
For wheelchair-bound people?
Yeah, for the wheelchair-bound, for the disabled people. And so, but the problem is in the 90s, the character would always be called like Wheels or something, yeah. or like Ryder, or like, you know, the theme was it wasn't about them as a human, but it would be them as a human bound to a wheelchair.
Your legs are now wheels, so we have to refer to you by the thing that's different.
But that's the thing in the TV show is like we're going to take that to 11 because they get their superpowers from their wheelchairs.
Hey man, you and I go back 50 years, and our names are both Fats.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would go into a store, and the person showing me to my booth would be like, "Hey, Fats, where you sitting?"
Yeah, and you would take that in stride, you know, because you're right. I think I'll have a cigar and a donut.
Yeah.
Which is, you ever had, that was a classic 50s treat where you would smoke a cigar and you'd have like a donut on the cigar.
That you eat and at the end. Yeah. It slowly gets closer to you.
Yeah, as it burns down. We'll be talking about that in the 50s throwback. That'll be something. So we have these 4 kids in wheelchairs, the 2 main kids. So there's always going to be 2 main kids. And it's Corey and Cody. And they're just 2 90s kids. They wear jean jackets all the time. You know, they love early skateboarding. They're going to like the first X Games. They're talking about the first X Games.
Oh, that's a huge thing. Are you sure the first X Games was in the 90s?
It doesn't matter. It matters. They get tons of things wrong about the 80s and Stranger Things. I think the first X Games was in the 90s. If I had to guess, it was in 93. I want to say.
All right.
Are you looking this up? Are you genuinely looking this up now?
No, of course I am. Any chance I have to prove you wrong, I jump at it. God damn it, it was 1995.
Ah, yeah.
So you were right
so
overall. You
right.
were very close.
Mm-hmm. So the first season will take place in 1995. The heat of the 90s. Lion King's just come out. They're all talking about Lion King. First X Games, Primus. And they're in that mode. And so the thing about it's called The End of History, and it's based on the philosophical economic novel by Francis Fukuyama, right? Everyone remembers Francis Fukuyama, of course. Big 90s figure, Francis Fukuyama. It goes Kurt Cobain, The Fifth Element, and Francis Fukuyama.
So hot.
Absolutely. He's what everyone remembers. And so his book was about how American democracy has solved everything and there are no more wars left to fight, which is very funny because then they would fight a bunch of wars.
Those were not really wars.
Yeah, they were police actions.
Those were. Yes, we did. What's Putin calling it? We did special actions.
Yeah, that shit is awesome. I love that. No, it's not a war. It's a special action. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, man.
That's what I call it. Yeah. That's when all the cookies go missing in the pantry. I say, I did not eat all the cookies.
That was a special action?
I had to do a special action.
Did kinetic strikes? We had to do some strategic kinetic strikes on these cookies. They're going to...
Right now, what I'm trying to do is do that thing where you eat all the cookies and then you try to buy a replacement before they notice. But you then eat the replacement too, so you have to buy a second. Then you're in a dilemma because you got to eat the replacement down to where they were at the point at which you think it's acceptable to leave them and have them be discovered as a double. But of course, once you start eating them, you can't stop eating the cookies. So
Absolutely.
You do end up having to go to the store again. If you're smart, you buy a lot all at once, but then get rid of the receipt.
I lament the dissolution of the cookie jar in our culture because, if that had still existed, you would have been caught with your hand in the cookie jar more than once, mister.
Did the cookie jar still exist in the 90s?
Yeah, I think the cookie jars are going to be a huge part of this show, obviously.
Okay.
Because along with their special wheelchairs are attached to magical cookie jars.
Okay.
Yeah, and each cookie jar is painted differently to reflect the personality of the kid. Like Corey's wheelchair has fire abilities; he can use fire, And Cody, he's a bit of a cool customer, so he uses ice.
And they have a synergy, of course.
Absolutely,
they can make water.
Yeah, they can make water, and that's going to be a big thing because Waterworld. The end of history. We're taught the 90s. We're talking about water wars, too. The big fear was that the water's going to fucking run out. So we need these kids with their magical wheelchairs. And we're gonna do of course, the villain in the show is Dr. Fukuyama. It's going to be a throwback to the 90s when you could still get away with Asian racism. So we're going to do a lot of Asian racism in this show as well. And it's going to be very well received.
Okay. That's weird, man. Like, you mean like an evil doctor, like with a Fu Manchu mustache type deal?
Yeah, he's Francis Fu Manchu Yama.
Okay.
And they're gonna get his name mixed up all the time. People are gonna love it because it'll be just like the 90s when you could get away with Asian racism.
And maybe we can get Jack Black to play him.
Yeah, we'll absolutely get Jack, and he'll be doing like a crazy accent. Yeah. We're not going to do it on the show. We're not going to do it here because it won't work without the context. But trust me, when Jack Black is doing that Jackie Chan accent, you're going to be laughing your ass off.
It's just when we get to play Francis Fukuyama, we get Jack Black to do a Jackie Chan impression.
Yeah, that's it. He's going to be an impression of this American Japanese guy. He's going to be doing a Jackie Chan impression. Because Jackie Chan also made his big American hit in the 90s, Rumble in the Bronx. We're going to have a Rumble in the Bronx sequence,
Is that Jackie Chan's first, breakthrough into America? Because I first really got exposed to Mr. Chan with Rush Hour. And I think, when was Rush Hour?
Rush Hour came after Rumble in the Bronx was 96. Rush Hour was 98, I think. Rush Hour was his first English language... No, maybe not his first, but his first big American co-produced English language movie.
As I look back to my youth and realize how many movies I went to, I kind of want to file charges of child abuse against my parents because no one should take their kid to the movies. I think that's wrong.
Oh, well, my dad took me to Saving Private Ryan, and then the lady in front of him gave him guff.
But
cool.
It's, good for that lady. Kids should not be allowed to go see movies.
It's funny when everyone comments on they'll allow violence in movies, but not sex. For some reason, when I was a kid, movie violence never upset me, but I would get sort of freaked out when there was sex in it. It's very funny.
Well, if you're watching it with your parents,
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Because I was watching Fists of Fury with my dad, the Bruce Lee movie Fists of Fury, and there's a naked lady in that movie, and I was like, I want to turn this off. I don't want to watch this with you, Dad.
Yeah.
And it was like, are you upset? No, I'm not upset. I just don't want to watch this with you, Dad.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a scene of that in the 90s throwback, because that was a classic thing. Renting a tape with your dad, getting it from Blockbuster. Oh, no, there's breasts in it, and now you have to have a weird conversation.
So we're going to have a scene of Cody and Corey watching a movie with Brett, like maybe Jerry Maguire is on, and the sex scene and Jerry Maguire comes on, and they get feeling really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Man, we're just going to appeal straight to the millennials.
Well, that's how their powers get activated, right? The tension.
Oh, yeah.
The tension they're watching in their wheelchairs. And, the thing is they use discomfort power. Their power in the show is, that's why the Jack Black, Asian racism, Francis Fukuyama so powerful. It's because he's very uncomfortable.
And so his Dr. Fukuyama's plan is to end the world?
It's the end of history. He wants specifically to end history.
Okay.
He thinks that we've had too much history. It's over. We can declare it as over. And so he wants to stop time itself and freeze everything in place.
Oh, my God.
And he uses spooky powers. Eventually, with his spooky powers, he becomes Dr. Spookuyama.
Oh, like he uses, like, monkey head or something?
Yeah, something. What do you mean? What do you mean, monkey head?
Like, that's one of his spooky powers, is monkey head? He has monkey head.
Monkey head is one of his powers? He has a monkey head?
Yeah, it just levitates beside
just
him.
Levitates by him, yeah, absolutely. That's spooky.
Yeah, he's going to use monkey head to freeze time.
He's like monkey head is like the Iago character. He's like a wise ass. 90s Disney Renaissance. Also, so we're going to be making lots of references to the Disney Renaissance.
Maybe monkey head can be played by none other than Eddie Murphy.
No, wrong.
Why?
Wrong. No.
He played Mushu.
No, yeah, but you don't want to do anything with black people and monkeys.
He's like
that's
a little
bad.
nice monkey, though.
No, I guess we're already going hard with the Asian. You couldn't get away with the black racism in the 90s. We have to say that for the 70s throw. You were trying to be racist because that's what it's discomfort power. No. This show is branded on discomfort power. So we need.
I liked him playing Mushu. I just want to see him playing another sidekick. That's all.
But it would have to be a head of a different animal.
Fine, Dr. Fukuyama doesn't
he can play a donkey. He can play a dragon.
Why doesn't he have?
He could play a phoenix.
Lizard head. He has lizard head.
Lizard head is fine.
Okay.
Lizard head is fine. That's totally. He can be lizard head, and he goes and he says Eddie Murphy stuff. He'll say it's Jack Black and Eddie Murphy. They're riffing with each other. They're old pros.
This is going to be a blockbuster if it's got Jack Black and Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy, yeah. Netflix, richer than it's ever been, will be able to afford this.
That would be. I would love to see this. Maybe we get Will Smith as the main character. As what is Corey?
Will Smith he's Corey's dad.
Will Smith, but we DH him.
You're right. And Cody should be Jaden. Oh, and it's like they get to relitigate After Earth. After Earth was kind of a flop.
Yeah. And maybe they have some like homosexual tension.
There's a little homosexual tension because it's discomfort power. It's discomfort power. That's what it's going on.
Their wheelchairs bump one day.
Yeah.
The wheels
and
touch.
Then they look into each other's eyes.
And it's Jaden and his dad looking at each other, and they.
And then the instrumental version of A Whole New World starts playing. I can show you the world. And, in the end, they have to combine their fire and ice powers to make, like, the steaming water that eventually takes down Dr. Spookuyama.
They use steam to defeat Dr. Spookuyama.
Yeah, because it's funny because it's like the end of history was technologically based. And what's the ultimate source of all technology? Steam, baby! It's steam. And they're going to say, steam, baby! At the same time when they use their steam powers.
Ooh. That's cool.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, so
I think that's we're off to a great start.
That
the
one's
end
a
of
wrap.
history.
I think that was
in the bag.
Put a bow on that.
Perfect. 70s throwback,
Okay.
And this remember in that 70s show, it had a spin-off, That 80s Show, which was very successful.
Yeah, I thought that was what Stranger Things was.
That is what Stranger Things was. Stranger Things is a spin-off of that 70s show. Look closely, and you might even see Michael Kelso. Michael Kelso, played by Ashton Kutcher. Played by famous...
I can insert a laugh track right there if you want.
You could insert a laugh track, but don't.
No, I will.
It should stay as it is.
No.
But 70s throwback, what was more popular in the 70s than fucking disco, okay?
Gasoline. Gasoline was more popular.
Yes, that's going to be part of it. There's going to be... The gas crisis is because the devil himself is hoarding gas because hell's flames are dying, and he needs all that gas.
Okay, how about this? The devil is a role reprised by none other than Mr. Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl. Right. His original role in The Devil, of course, is in Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
Of course.
A movie set in the 70s and about the 70s. Which stars none other than Dr. Spookyama himself, Jack Black.
Okay, so 70s... What's the title of the 70s throwback?
Disco Inferno. Okay. And the main characters in this one are Sylvester and Cody. And they have to rescue their friend, Daryl, from Disco Hell.
From Disco Hell?
From Disco Hell, yeah. There's going to be all sorts of, like, disco theme. You know, Indiana Jones, they have the rock behind them. There's going to be a big disco ball that tries to crush them. You know, there's going to be, like, a light-up dance floor, but the dance floor is lasers, you know. It's Disco Hell.
Does 70s James Bond ever have to, like, go through a disco dance?
I'm sure there was at some point where he was trying to kill somebody on a disco dance floor. Or where he was trying to evade somebody on a disco. We didn't have enough Disco Bond.
It's so obvious how James Bond, throughout the years, just tries to cash in on whatever the current...
Yeah, I remember all those Daniel Craig dubstep Bond movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like,
Well, no, they were cashing in for a while. They were like, parkour. That's going to be the next big thing.
That was only in the Casino Royale. And you know what? That parkour scene, it fucking rips. I'm sorry. That parkour scene is fucking rules.
Yeah, okay. What's that online video of where the guys like declare parkour, and is that in Always Sunny? Is that Always
No, that's a The Office joke. The Office joke is they just found out about parkour and then they're doing bad moves while going parkour.
Yeah.
That joke is actually pretty funny. Sometimes I will like jump on a ledge on the street and go parkour.
Well, you know, when you're being intentionally disruptive in class, it's kind of like one of the easiest ways to make everyone laugh and appreciate you. Mm-hmm. So if you're in high school and you're listening to this, one thing that you can do that's funny is say parkour while you jump all over all the desks and knock everything over.
Yeah, it just ruin everyone's shit.
Well, yeah, but it's school shit.
Yeah. What you should do is the diabetic kid, you should throw away his insulin medication and go parkour. That's something that you can do to be a popular kid in school.
Take a Snickers and go to the allergy kids table and just start passing it around.
Yeah, absolutely. Just run it under his nose like a Cohiba cigar. Run the Snickers under it like a big Cohiba.
Do you enjoy Snickers?
Yeah, Snickers is good.
Like
I
one
like
a day,
Snickers.
you'd say?
Not one a day. It's a Snickers is a B tier candy bar. To me, the Snickers combination is more effectively realized in the O. Henry.
Man, that's a 70s ass sounding candy bar. O. Henry.
Oh, Henry, that's a 1910s ass sounding candy bar. It's about that playwright, that weird playwright that wrote Gift of the Magi.
There's a bunch of weird 70s candy.
Bunch of weird 70s candy is going to be like they're going to be chomping down on a Charleston Chews all the time.
Zag nut.
They love Zag nuts. They're always talking about their Zag nuts, Sylvester and Cody.
Wig wag. That's another one.
Absolutely. Abba Zabbas.
Curly Whirly.
Well, Curly Whirlies are great. Yeah, they're always eating their Curly Whirlies. So they have to rescue their friend Daryl from Disco Hell. How does Daryl get captured by the Disco Devil to begin with? Bareback fucking. Because that's what they were doing a lot in the 70s. It's before AIDS. So, like, a big thing in the show is bareback fucking. And, of course, Sylvester and Cody, they won't be kids. Well, they'll be like 19, because we can't have kids bareback fucking. Obviously, we can't have kids bareback fucking. I mean, that'll be a big problem.
In the 70s, though, you could. Like, so if we're gonna go by 70s rules, like how we did with the 90s and the racism,
we're gonna have to. I guess we won't show it, but it's gonna be implied that these kids are barebacking.
Okay.
I guess you can do that. In Stranger Things, they have 16-year-olds fucking, obviously they'll be played by adult actors. So you'll be like,
that's bad.
What?
You can't do that.
You can't have 16. Yeah,
you can't have that.
Can't do that. You can't have adults portray 16-year-olds fucking. That's a bridge too far.
No. Can't have that. No. That's illegal.
No.
We make that illegal.
So you hate Euphoria as well. You're anti-Euphoria.
Hey, don't put me on the spot like that.
That's funny you say that, because that's actually Cody's catchphrase in the show. Hey, don't put me on the spot like that.
Hey, don't put me on that.
Cody's big arc is he loves disco. But unfortunately, when the audience parts in a disco club and one guy starts soloing really hard, that's Cody's worst fear in the world. He wants to blend in with the dance crowd. Sylvester, on the other hand, he's a king of soloing. He'll do a solo dance any time of the week. He has that supreme confidence. But his art, he's arrogant, and they help each other throughout the show. Of course, Sylvester will have fire powers and Cody will have ice powers.
Boy, again?
Yeah, well, it's disco hell, But that's the thing about Sylvester is he learns that his fire powers in hell, they're not very useful, okay?
Well, he should he's probably wearing like a polyester suit. Aren't those flammable?
Yeah, it's his hot shot powers. He's always getting called hot shot. They're always making fun of him. He's getting taken down a peg. But eventually he learns how to create the blue flame.
We're going to have to hire, people who are much older than us to do the consulting work on the 70s, because I have no frame of reference for what the 70s were like other than perhaps that 70s show. So yeah. I'm trying to think, what was it like in the 70s?
There were a lot of Topher Graces in the 70s. Topher Grace was just all over the place in the 70s.
What did they even do? They were going to drive-in movies.
They were going to drive-in movie theaters. But they were necking at drive-in movie theaters.
They had been doing it for 20 years. So
they were fighting in World War II in the 70s. World War II was happening.
No, they
in the
were
70s.
doing Vietnam. What?
No, that was World War II.
I guess it is one continuation of the American Imperial Project, but
it's the same thing.
Okay.
Well, World War II is not really the American Imperial Project.
Oh, yes, it was. Are you kidding?
Actually, yeah, you're right.
Kidding?
We did a lot of stuff.
You kidding me?
We did Gladio.
We took over
Gladio's going to be a big part of Disco Inferno as well. They're gonna meet their buddies in Gladio.
Huh. That's
cool. You know about Gladio, right?
Of course I know about Gladio.
You know about Gladio. For the people that don't know about Gladio.
Of course.
The people who aren't Gladio Gaga. The people, those were...
Gladio Gaga. Gladio Goo.
Yeah. I think that's an 80s Queen song, so we couldn't have it for this. But we would have... Killer Queen. Killer Queen's going to make an appearance. You can bet it. Can
you sing Freddie Mercury songs?
Sure.
You have the chops. You think you got the chops?
I can sing the ones that aren't so hard. But how do you sing Killer Queen? She keeps mowing Shandon in a pretty cabinet, just like Batman, just like Marie Antoinette. And my man and you, and they can. She came naturally from Paris, 'cause she couldn't care less. Assiduous and precise, she's a killer queen, gelatin. And that's going to be in the song.
Okay, you got to. If you want to hear more of that, you got to go to patreon.com/House of Decline and subscribe your ass, because we do so much more musical stuff on the Patreon episode.
Oh, it's amazing, yeah.
You're going to love it. You're going to get a comic every day exclusive that you cannot find anywhere else. House of Decline exclusive
not find
comics.
Anywhere else.
Patreon.com/House of Decline.
Patreon Blue Chew. Smoke Blue Chew. Patreon.com/ Can you imagine a guy smoking Blue Chew, just crushing Blue Chew up and smoking it? in a crack pipe. Maybe, and so cocaine is going to be a big part of this. Disco Hell is, of course, they're the ones that are providing all the cocaine to the discos. Because then they realize they're not actually in hell. They've just been in Bolivia this whole time. And they've been calling it hell because they're very racist. They're very racist against the Bolivians.
I'm trying to think.
So that's going to be a big part.
What actor of the 70s would we get? Or couple. Maybe we could get Farrah Fawcett?
Farrah Fawcett and George C. Scott are Sylvester and Cody.
Sylvester's a girl's name.
Yeah.
Hot.
They're both dead, of course, so we're going to have to digitally de-age them.
Of course, yeah. But we have that's easy. We can just take stuff from other movies and Absolutely. We're going to get their skeletons. We're going to attach them to big puppet rigs, big marionette rigs. We're going to Weekend at Bernie's them, but it's their skeletons, so it'll be easier to digitally de-age their skeletons than just say a random skeleton, Yeah, well, I believe the MGM Universal owns the skeletons of all its stars.
Absolutely, that's something you sign away is the rights to your likeness and your skeleton.
It's like, yeah, we keep your skeleton in a closet. We keep every single.
That's where that phrase comes from. They got a big closet of celebrity skeletons.
Okay, I got an idea for Stranger Things. Orson Welles' Stranger Things.
Orson Welles' Stranger Things.
It's just it's like completely disorienting, like Mr. Arkadin.
Yeah.
And it ends completely ambiguously.
Yeah, that'd be good. That's the one thing. Stranger Things, for a show about mysteries, it often resolves a lot of things. I don't think that's cool. Mm-hmm. I think there should be a little more strangeness. It's not very strange at all. These plots are very normal. They defeat a bad guy. They rescue a guy. That's not weird at all. What about something where they just do a bunch of stuff and then something weird happens and then nothing gets resolved or...
Yeah, someone was saying on Twitter that the problem with the movies is they're over-explaining the world. All the time they're doing the background, but we got to make sure you know exactly what's going on in the world. We can't just have, the concept in media res, where you just, you're in the middle of things and that's where you start.
Well, yeah. Speaking of in media res, I have Netflix on in the background, and the Stranger Things ad has started playing automatically. So give me 1 second to turn that off.
Another great candy bar from the 70s is Banjo. Peanut Banjo. And it's new in 1978 with extra peanuts. I believe this was in United Kingdom.
I was watching Stranger Things previous to this. That's how I got the idea for the episode.
Oh, well, hey, full disclosure, I was just talking about the new Banjo peanut bar that came out in 1978 with extra peanuts.
The new Banjo peanut bar?
Yeah, it's in English or, from the UK.
Yeah.
Well,
it's funny you say that because that's where the show is set. The show is set because people think about, New York disco in the 70s. What about UK disco? Where
I thought that in the 70s the UK was all punk.
They would make you to think that, but they had their own version of UK disco where the 4-to-floor beat, the bass drum would just go bruff, 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 bruff. So that's going to be a big component is bruv disco.
They were also still dealing with the fallout of the war between the mods and the rockers.
Yeah, that was a huge thing. England was laid waste. You hear about the Blitz. That's because of all the speed that they were doing. That was a thing. It's so funny that the Beatles did speed. It's so funny that was the first drug they did.
It's great. I love speed, and I wish, everyone makes fun of the people on YouTube who go and comment on Led Zeppelin videos like, man, I was born in the wrong decade. I do that on videos about speed.
Yeah, there's some sort of variant of speed. So, man, you can't get Preludin anymore. I wish you could get Dexedrine, but you can't get Dexedrine anymore.
I think you can get it, but you have to have
speed was so popular. The Come On Eileen people, Dexy's Midnight Runners. The Dexy is Dexedrine. They were talking about it's a speed reference. Motorhead is also a speed reference. And that's what we said it was going to be cocaine, but it's going to be a lot of speed as well. They're going to be doing tons of speed.
That's cool. It is cool. Yeah. It is a cool thing to do. It's bad for you, so don't do it. But
yeah,
it is fun as hell.
Unless you have Adderall, which is good for you because it's prescribed by a doctor.
Some people do need it. I used to not believe in ADHD, but I believe in it.
No, ADHD exists.
It does, and some people.
But
benefit.
It is overprescribed. But it absolutely exists.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad it's overprescribed because it's also fun for regular people.
Yeah, regular people should get Adderall too.
Don't you want to know everything about the parts of the Bible that weren't included in the Bible?
I mean, that's going to be a huge component of Disco Inferno. Everybody likes lost media narratives. What's the biggest lost media of all? That's right, the lost books of the Bible.
Cool. And also, Jesus Christ Superstar was huge in the 70s.
Absolutely. He was. Jesus Christ Superstar was the superstar in the 70s.
You ever see that one?
They should have called it Andrew Lloyd Webber Superstar.
You ever see that one? You see that?
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Superstar. Superstar. Yeah. It's
I've seen it many times.
It's not good. I kind of hate it.
Times. Oh, it's one of my fave movies.
Jesus Christ Superstar, one of your fave movies?
Love it. Yeah, that's how I was converted to Christianity.
They were all sucking dick on that set. All...
What I like about Jesus Christ Superstar is that it sort of exemplifies the Christianity of the 70s, which was a lot of hippies sort of became Christian. Mm-hmm. And they were just wild with it. They would just invent stuff. About it. And so Jesus Christ Superstar has like that kind of like inventiveness that's going on. Because a lot of the things that occur in that movie are not in the Bible.
Yeah, I don't think the Jews ever. It's kind of anti-Semitic, that movie too, because you have a bunch of Jewish priests. Who is this Jesus? This Jesus must die.
Yeah,
this Jesus must die. They have the Jews saying Jesus must die.
The Jews have the lowest voices.
Yeah, that's how you know they're spooky.
That's because they're the bad
spooky
guys.
Jews in Jesus Christ Superstar.
They're the bad guys. They're trying to kill Jesus. He's the good guy.
Yeah, it's weird because like Pontius Pilate has like a moment of reflection in that movie. Like they give more humanity to Pontius Pilate. The guy would actually kills Jesus. Then
I would love to do a movie about Jesus from the point of view of the Pharisees. And it's just like this insane cult leader is taking over your society.
That's pretty good. That like beyond bits. That movie where you have to stop Jim Jones Jesus is very funny.
I mean, yeah, it would have been terrifying because it's like this thing keeps getting bigger. He's got thousands of followers now. He's saying he's the king. Isn't someone going to stop this? This is crazy. I'm watching the new FLDS documentary.
Which one is FLDS?
That's the Fundamentalist Latter-day Saints. They're the ones that Warren Jeffs?
Yeah, I do know Warren Jeffs.
He's like in jail now for sex trafficking. And because like what he would do is just like do polygamous marriages to his friends and give all of the young girls to his horrifyingly old friends, and they would do sex trafficking. But they at one point had like 10,000 followers.
It's a lot.
It's insane.
It's a lot of people.
To control that many people's lives.
Well, it's very funny because it's like one of the biggest differences between a cult and a religion, or so I've been told, is that a cult is usually centered around one person that's still alive, and it's about aggrandizing the one person in the cult, which, you know, Christianity was up until he died. And then his death becomes the story of the religion. You know, it becomes a religion once that leader dies. But it's funny because, like, Jim Jones didn't carry on after Jim Jones. Shinrikyo did carry on after the death of Shoko Asahara, though. So maybe that's the one, you know?
Maybe that one maybe that one will have some legs.
Yeah, I think so. They still have offices. They still have members, Shinrikyo, which is very funny.
I mean, aren't they still sort of trying to do attacks too? Didn't they do an attack recently?
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe we should incorporate Shinrikyo, but we should have incorporated them into our 90s throwback show because that's when that was their heyday. But I think this 70s one, I think it has a lot of legs. I think it does. We're gonna all of these things that you've heard today. Cults, you know. Fucking the Mormons. They're gonna have weird Mormons is gonna be a thing. They're gonna have to go to a commune of weird Mormons in order to learn their fire and ice powers.
They did an attack,
and they're gonna get trafficked.
Sorry, news break. But Shinrikyo did an attack in 2019.
That's wow. That's like, you know, that's like fucking Duran Duran releasing an album today. You know, it's pretty
That'd be
pretty
sick.
Good stuff.
I love Duran Duran.
I do too, yeah. Her name is Rio and she dances on the ass.
You know how I got into Duran Duran?
How?
From the Arctic Monkeys.
Ooh.
Because I was
Duran Duran is much better than the Arctic Monkeys.
Sure. But the Arctic Monkeys were hugely hyped for some reason.
Yeah.
I think maybe the record companies were like, we have to try again. God damn it, we're not dead yet. We're going to try again.
Well, they were hugely hyped because they had that one really, really good single, I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor. Then it was
I covered that a lot in high school.
Yeah, it's a really cool fucking song, and they were never able to write a song that good again.
Yeah, they weren't. It's sad. I like the guys, though. Anyway, besides the Arctic Monkeys, who I don't really listen to anymore, they did a Duran Duran reference in one of their songs on that album that has I Think You Look Good on the Dance Floor. Mm-hmm. So I went and got Rio by Duran Duran. Mm-hmm. Didn't like it in high school because I was an idiot.
Dumbass. This doesn't have guitars in it.
A dumbing idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously, I was like, oh, this doesn't have guitars in it. I didn't listen to anything that had no guitars.
Yeah, no, I had that mindset. That was a big thing for once we go to our 2000s nostalgia show, because everyone in the 2000s nostalgia was into 70s nostalgia for some reason. That was like a big thing. Like Zeppelin was massive in my high school.
Yeah,
Zeppelin and the Who and like wearing your hair long and
there was all this. We weren't allowed to wear our hair long, but we were allowed to listen to Led Zeppelin and talk about it as much as we want.
Yeah.
We were not allowed to talk about rap. I
wonder maybe,
why.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
That was but all of the rock kids would stand in contrast to all of the kids. My high school was mostly white and Asian, so all of the white and Asian kids on the basketball team would listen to hip hop, and then all the guys in band would listen to Zeppelin. For some reason, all the music guys would listen to Zeppelin. Because this is real music, Eventually, we all stopped. Eventually, we all learned better. We all, I think. Maybe it'd be funny if some people are still like that. They're still like, nah, man, synth's not real music, man. It's not real, man.
There's definitely guys that are still like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's very. By the time if you're like that though, once you hit your late 20s, you realize you can't act like that in public, but you still feel resentful on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, you still, because artists are useless, so they have to constantly justify what they do to themselves. And so one method of doing that is creating this Byzantine set of rules, where if something doesn't achieve that set of rules, it's not real art.
Right.
So, and that way you can, I'm creating something objectively important because I'm following the rules,
Yeah. That's cool. That is cool.
We should do that.
As long as you let everyone know what the rules are and write it down and give it to the people before you perform. I always like giving people a list of rules before I do my performances.
Absolutely.
This is how you can enjoy my performance. This is how you should not be enjoying my performance. I remember when I was first making music, maybe when I was in my early 20s, and I would want to show people music. I would be like, no, but you got to get high first. You got to smoke some weed before you listen to my new instrumental guitar track.
This is the way it should be appreciated.
This is how you're not going to enjoy it or really appreciate it unless you got to smoke some of this weed. Yes, of course, there's tobacco in there.
Yeah, it's a spliff. What are you, a loser?
That's
part of the rules. It has to be.
In our 2010s throwback, it'll be all of the. Who will it be? Cody in our 2010s throwback.
Well, in our 2000s, I suppose we could go to our 2000 throwback show right now.
Can we do a 2010s throwback, the teens?
I don't know if the 2000s culture has really started to crystallize now, and people are starting to grasp and understand what it was. I don't know if the 2010s I think we're still too close to it to really understand what the big tropes from it were yet. I don't know.
Well,
what do you think?
Trump appears halfway through.
Yes. Well, the 2010s are marked by this, like, everyone's lulled into this false sense. It's actually sort of, it's another end of history moment, the Obama end of history moment, where there was like...
End of racism?
Yeah. Well, that was a thing. I mean, Obama won a prize because they were like, the Swedes were like, yeah, he has ended racism in America by being the black president. But there was this sort of sense of security in the country, even with like teacots. The economy was still doing pretty well. You know, it wasn't. I mean, for millennials, it was a different thing. But yeah, and then it punctuated by this massive loss of faith in the American political structure because of the election of Donald Trump, at least among Democrats, and a resurgence of sort of a reactionary tendency not seen since. I guess the thing that you could compare it most to is like the 70s, especially like in the UK when you had guys like Enoch Powell doing Rivers of Blood speeches and stuff like that. And where you had like busing come up as like a big issue where like this, I mean, was interesting about the 70s is busing. They said busing so they didn't have to say the N-word, right? They said, oh, we can get you to hate blacks by saying busing, right? But now they just say, no, you hate blacks. You hate blacks again. That's it.
Well, that's
so
the quote.
we've
that's
devolved
the quote from Lee
further.
Atwater, right? You're referring to the Lee Atwater quote that we don't have to say the N-word. We say a different code word, and it gets
suddenly it becomes all about taxes. It becomes abstract.
Further and further abstracted. Well, humans are natural at abstraction. That's what we do. We mystify things with using abstractions.
Absolutely. That's
everybody.
That's why
not everybody, but both political parties do that. So
well, you've seen the way that Kamala Harris talks, right? It's so funny how she manages to. It's this incredibly wordy nothing.
Yeah,
I love that.
We are going to get together to aspire to make the fomentation of change a reality in both the different ways we can work together to create more coming of age stories in different decades.
No, that's too specific. You mentioned something specific, which was coming of age stories in different decades.
She knows how to follow the script, and if she would work for us, or say maybe we could send her one of our specs scripts to read. Maybe the 2000s
she's going to need. Because she's not getting elected out of this Veep thing is the highest she's ever going to go. So what's her next role now? Movie producer, Netflix producer.
Are you kidding? She's going to Netflix.
Absolutely.
Just like Obama did. Run to Netflix.
Here's the thing. What do we know that's popular? 60s throwbacks. Mad Men. Incredible show. Everybody likes Mad Men. They're smoking all the time. They're womanizing. That's what everybody loved about it. They were like, oh, I love all this smoking and womanizing. And eventually they got to the hippie era. That's what people also remember about the 60s, is the incredible hippie era. And so it's weird that we didn't have a 60s show. We had one in New York. Why didn't we have it at the center of culture in the 60s? San Francisco. Beautiful San Francisco. And, of course, the title, there's going to be a horror element to this. So the title is, of course, Hate Ash Scary. Hate Ash Scary, you know. What if all this hippie energy, you know, was culminating for a reason? What if the Golden Gate Bridge was, in fact, a bridge to hell, you know? And that's going to be a big thing. Is like that's going to be the big set piece in the middle. Is they turn the Golden Gate Bridge into a bridge to hell, and like a guy's committing suicide off the Golden Bridge, and then he lands directly in hell. Is like nuts.
Nuts was one of the biggest new slang words of the '60s.
Yeah, they were going nuts all the time. They were going nuts
because in the '60s they were having '40s nostalgia.
Right.
And that was what the guy said at the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah, they were all saying, nuts, because the Battle of the Bulge was, of course, everyone had big bulges in their pants.
It is funny
big testicular bulges.
That's from the Battle of the Bulge, I think. Or is it the different battle? I don't know. Listeners,
the Battle
if you know
of the
which
Somme.
if you know, no, Battle of the Somme was World War One. Listeners, if you know which battle it was, that
Well,
the American
what is
general
World War II
responded,
if not World War One nostalgia?
nuts, then email houseofdecline@gmail.com.
What is the origin of nuts as a swear word? Did it always refer to the testicles? Maybe it referred to the fact that nuts are a lower food form. Maybe they were disrespecting the beautiful nut.
That's what squirrels eat, you fool.
That's what fucking rodents eat, you asshole. That's nuts. Just goddamn nuts. So, of course, in Hate Ash Scary, we have another duo. We have another duo of kids. They're hippie kids. They're growing up in San Francisco. They're growing up in Tenderloin. And it's Moonflower and Cody.
Okay.
And Moonflower, you might think he's a woman because Moonflower sounds a bit feminine, but he's a dude. He's absolutely a dude. Moonflower is a very masculine name to him, and that's a thing that comes up over and over. That's like an arc for his character. It's like, no, Moonflower is a man's name. He keeps saying it's a beautiful man's name. He keeps saying.
So maybe there's a lot of motorcycle riding while we listen to Steppenwolf.
Yeah, that happens a lot. There's a lot of they're magic motorcycles.
Okay, and I'm guessing
one is fire and one is ice.
One is fire, one is ice. Okay, that's cool. Motorcycles were big in the 60s.
Absolutely. Well, it's Easy Rider, They pick up Jack Nicholson eventually. They pick up a weird lawyer, and he makes shit interesting for a second, and then he dies for no reason.
But they do have group sex.
They do have group sex,
which was big and huge in the 60s.
Yeah, of course, they're all adults. They're all adults playing teenagers, so it's fine.
It is fine.
It is fine. It's definitely fine. Don't worry about it.
We'll have guest director Roman Polanski for that episode.
Yeah, that's when he wasn't canceled, so it's okay to, that was his heyday. That's before he did all the stuff that made him. But everybody was doing what he did back then.
Yeah, David Bowie, Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
Pat Buchanan,
Steven Tyler,
Richard
Ted
Nixon.
Nugent, B. Arthur was just molesting young boys.
Bill Cosby,
just across the country. Yeah,
Bill Cosby.
B. Arthur and Bill Cosby are really like the two biggest monsters in Hollywood.
I was trying to remember where filth, flarn, filth. The phrase filth, flarn, filth came from, and it's Eddie Murphy Raw. So I watched a little bit of Eddie Murphy Raw.
Watch some very homophobic Eddie Murphy jokes.
Okay, but the main thing in Raw is him talking about Bill Cosby. He devotes almost half the special to making fun of Bill Cosby, which
that's pretty,
is awesome.
That is awesome because Eddie Murphy is definitely a more beloved figure now than Bill Cosby.
Do you recall that part?
No, I don't recall. What is he making fun of Bill Cosby? What is he saying about Bill Cosby?
Cosby's kids want to go see Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
And Bill Cosby doesn't listen. So this actually happened. Eddie Murphy's relating the story. Bill Cosby called up Eddie Murphy and was mad at him for saying all the curse words. And he does an amazing impression of Bill Cosby just like chewing him out. And then how Eddie Murphy replies. It just basically tells him to fuck off.
That's great.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy, supporter of the queer community, loves trans women, as we know.
That's true.
Oh, man. I think, what we haven't mentioned is queer content. There's gonna be a lot of queer content because, of course, I am a queer creator. Steven is a queer adjacent creator.
I am next to you.
Yeah, you should start on your resume. You should start listing yourself as queer adjacent creator.
I'm gonna think of a way to shoehorn it in. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. So Moonflower and Cody, what separates them is that during their group sex, they're fucking ladies, but then their eyes lock with each other and they realize they want to be fucking each other. And that's what separates Hate Ash Scary from the other ones. Is there's going to be a real romance. There's going to be a real romance with Moonflower and Cody.
Wow.
And Moonflower, is always, he doesn't want to be the femme though. He doesn't want to bottom. And he goes, just because I'm Moonflower, you think I'm the femme, you think I'm the bottom? That's going to be a big thing of his. And Cody's relaxed because he is ice. He is chill. He is one chill dude. He is one cool customer.
Okay, I'm getting an idea of who we can get to play Moonflower and Cody, because they're both still alive, and if we just use a little bit of de-aging technology. Okay, Moonflower is John Voight.
Yes.
And Cody is Dustin Hoffman.
You're right. Oh my God. Everybody's talking at me. And I'm sucking off your penis. Sucking off your penis with my mouth. The big sequence is going to be them on their twin motorcycles. They're holding hands. One motorcycle is blaring fire and one is blaring ice, and they're riding on the Golden Gate Bridge. The camera, it's a big drone shot. Camera pans up, and it shows the portal to hell on the Golden Gate Bridge, and they ride that highway to hell. The big conflict, of course, they're trying to close the portal to hell. Who has opened the portal to hell? And, what figure was bigger in the 60s
Jane Fonda.
Absolutely. It was Hanoi Jane herself opening the portal to hell. Because she was using in Vietnam, she was all hooked up there with the Viet Cong. Of course, they're trying anything to repel the American invasion. And we're not such a patriotic, we're not such jingoists that we're not going to give a lot of time to the Vietnam. There's going to be a lot of Ho Chi Minh himself will make an appearance in the show, and he's going to help our protagonists. And
that's where all the hardcore gay sex scenes are.
Yeah, they're going to be fucking and sucking with the VC. They're going to go to the VC, and that's when they discover
John Voight's going to be cursing the damn gay communists.
Yeah, all the time. He's going to be getting railed in the ass. It's like, I'm Moonflower, damn it. And he's crying because he loves it. He loves getting pounded in the ass. And
so he's the bottom. Why? So and that's what a bottom is, huh?
Yeah.
I finally understand.
You understand? You never put two and two together with that before?
No. Wow. Thank you. I understand. Now you know. It's like so much more tweets make sense now.
There you go. That you've never heard the Willem song, That Boy is a Bottom, Bottom. Never heard that one?
I have. I didn't know what it meant.
There you go. Now you know. It means someone who taketh a cock in the ass.
Huh. But why are they called the bottom?
Because the top is on, because usually it's just a spatial positioning thing. It'd be funny. Because it'd be funny if you're doing like,
be on top though? Aren't you generally on top if you are taking up?
No, you're not on top. You're bent over something. You could be facing each other. There's lots of ways. Frankly, you're right. You're right, Stephen.
Well,
it shouldn't be like this.
No, when you get top, that's when you get a blowjob.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out that
the top and the bottom thing.
You guys are not being consistent. And it's very confusing to those of us in the asexual community who are trying to understand what we're talking about.
You're stealing asexual valor.
I am not. You don't.
Stop stealing asexual valor.
I have never labeled myself anything. Okay, and for you to doubt it here at the end of the show, when we have no time left, try to take away the possibility for me to defend myself.
You have a child. How did you make the child? You have a biological child.
You have just committed such an offense. You can't. What do you mean? Where? Maybe I found it somewhere. Maybe I found the child.
Yeah. You don't know that aces can still fuck. Aces can still fuck for kids. They're crying while they're doing it. It's like, I don't want it. But there's going to be a very prominent ace Viet Cong character.
You're digging your own grave here, okay?
I get asexual. We love you, asexuals, but people tend not to take them seriously as a queer identity because no one has ever been oppressed for not wanting to fuck.
That's not true. That's not true.
Is it not true?
It's not true. Yeah. Society.
Who has been oppressed for not wanting to fuck?
For a long time, society was constantly putting sex in movies and making you watch sex with your dad.
Okay, I hate to pull out mine, but what? Wait, say that last thing again.
Excuse me? Excuse you?
What? Say that last thing again.
Society's constantly like making you have sex with your dad.
Oh yeah, well that's society, and thank God we fixed that.
Will Smith's trying to bring it back though.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's gonna be in the end of history. That's gonna be a big thing.
But no, I do think you could make an argument for asexual people being discriminated against. We've got a very sexy culture,
Very sex-oriented. It's all about sex. I don't know.
It's like you're being bombarded with sex constantly.
Well, less so now that the MCU is in tow, and they've no more sex anymore. We're British.
Okay, I mean, you still got wet-ass pussy coming on all the time.
Is like England the mecca for asexuals?
Yes, it is.
They all do a pilgrimage to the most asexual town in England, which is of course Cambridge.
Yeah, you can do a mini pilgrimage to Boston.
Is Boston very asexual?
That's where all the wasps congregate. That's where. I mean,
I was just picturing a bunch of.
Listen, it's a stereotype that all asexuals are wasps. Yeah. But there is some science to back it up.
No, asexuals, asexual, I love you. You are a queer identity. That's fine. I'm not gonna, don't get angry. Don't be mad at me. Please don't be mad at me.
House of Decline?
No, don't be mad at me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for anything I've done.
Be mean to Alex online. Try to get his account banned.
You're talking about various. You were talking about Boston asexuals, and I was thinking about asexuals from like South. He's like, bro, do you want to have sex? Nah, let's go to Dunkies instead. Yeah, we're going to Dunkies instead of boning. Yeah, that's for losers. Fuck you. Irish.
You're making them sound,
House of Pain all the way.
You're making them sound cool.
Here's the thing about Jump Around. The most incredible Irish song of all time, Jump Around by House of Pain. It is an asexual song. They're not talking about fucking in the song. It's about how to have fun without fucking by just jumping around. Everlast, the greatest Irish poet of all time, is an asexual. Many people do not know this. Everlast, asexual.